Fix this hair up here. Good Lord. Hi, Jennifer. How are you? I haven't seen you in a while. Hi. Hello, everybody. I'll let people show up a little early. Got about 15 minutes before the official live, so we'll just chit-chat a little bit. Hey, I took a little nap, so I look a little disheveled. I'm sorry. I fell asleep, my hair damp, and it's just all cray. So whatever. You guys are used to it, right? You've seen me in every iteration. You've seen me dressed up. You've seen me where I woke up. Hello. You guys, tonight is going to be fun. Thank you, user, sweetheart. Tonight's going to be so fun. So the other day, at the very last moment in my live, and I was going to do this last night, you guys, but I'll be honest, I conked out. I have been really busy, and I kind of overdid it yesterday. So I didn't show up for my live last night. I'm so sorry, but I'm here now. I took a nap, so I'll be ready. I'm glad you're better, Jennifer. Jennifer's been not feeling so great. So we're going to give it a few minutes because I'm early, but what we are going to be doing is I'm going to tell you some true, personal, paranormal stories about this particular autograph book. You guys excited? Now, if you've been watching me for a long time, you've seen this before, and you may remember, about like 2 years ago, I was doing a live during the day, which is when I usually used to be on when I first started all this. And somebody asked me about the book, and when I brought it down, I was explaining that the spirit attached to this book loves electronics. And while we were talking, sure enough, there was this, like crazy storm going on outside, and all of a sudden my light ring just blew up, just like literally exploded and shut off. And there were probably about, 50 people watching. So just one little short story about this lovely book that is going to be the topic of conversation tonight. So hang in there. We're going to get to that. Some of the other things we can do tonight, I am an intuitive psychic medium. So I do things like tarot cards and oracle cards, which I have here. And if you are a subscriber of mine, it's only $6 a month. If you subscribe and you come on here and I'm on, all you do is give me a couple purple hearts and remind me that you're a subscriber, and I can also see it. And I will pull some cards for you if I'm not in the middle of doing something else. Okay, that's the only thing. So if I'm in the middle explaining about the book, I'm not going to be answering those questions. I also do not answer yes/no questions. I only answer generalized questions. And then, I can give you specifics once I start to answer them, but don't ask me a yes/no question. Like, am I pregnant? Am I going to meet the guy of my dreams? That kind of thing. That's not a question I would answer. But if you say, what would the man of my dreams be like? Or will I be meeting somebody in the future? And can you tell me more about it? Then that's another story. All right. Hey, Kelly. Oh, so there's that. I also help people find lost items. Now, I have a lot of people contacting me privately, asking me to help them find lost items. I don't do that because I really have no clue on how to charge you guys for that. And if I'm going to do it on my free time, I got to charge. So I only do them here on lives. And I will let you know when I'm open to doing that. I'd say I have about an 80% finding rate, maybe bigger. I've never really calculated out, and I don't always hear back right away. But there's a lot of people on here that have had me find lost items for you through this live, and I'm thrilled. I love doing it. So we still have a few minutes before we jump into the stories about my haunted autograph book. You guys are just going to love it. I have so many great stories about this. And I can tell you a little bit about how I obtained the autograph book in the first place. So one of my childhood friends, who also happens to be an Oscar award or an Emmy award winning producer, I know, wow, right? She was moving her parents out of their home, and I've known her since I was about 9 or something. And she called me and said, hey, I've got a bunch of antiques. I know you love antiques. Why don't you come over? Now, at this point, I was not doing anything regarding this type of work. I wasn't doing mediumship or psychic work or anything like this. Okay, I wasn't. Is that a placemat? No, this is an autograph book. This is actually what they call a crazy quilt. It's made from somebody's ties or dresses or both. Women used to make these out of loved ones' old ties and things. And you see this is all hand done. I found it at an estate sale. It's at least 150 years old. It's falling apart. They never did put the back on this quilt, but to me, it has so much energy in it because of all the different pieces of material from different people. And I don't know who this belonged to. So for all I know, this could have energy as well. I'm sure it does. So anyway, so back to the story about how I obtained this book in the first place. So she calls me up and says, hey, you want to come over and look at whatever. I go to her house, and sure enough, she's got a buttload of antiques. And of course, she's selling most of them. I think I bought a couple small things from her, but in the end of the whole story, I was just about to leave, and she comes running out of the house and says, oh, I had this for you. I wanted you to have this. I think you're the only person who would appreciate this. And I was like, okay, cool. It looked cool to me. So it's an autograph book. So if you're not familiar with autograph books, the way that these worked was back in the day, even when I was a kid, and I'm old, people would buy these kind of like a guest book, right? So if you were like moving to another town, or you were having a party or something, people would have these out, and then people would write little messages in them, because people didn't have cameras and selfies and all that, stuff. So you'd write a little note to them to remember you, kind of like you sign a yearbook. So this one is from the 1800s. The date on the very first page says 1880. And let me show you guys the penmanship on this thing. I mean, look at that. We're talking people were using a quill and, excuse me, let me turn that off. A quill and an inkwell. Look at that. I mean, is that not gorgeous? So the first page says Clay Onondaga, New York, October 25th, 1880, it says. That's how old this is. It says, Henry, his name is Henry Strever, the person on this book. When you and Mary are in the far west enjoying your new home, do not forget your father and mother and brothers and sisters and your old home, your affectionate father, Aaron Strever. So this is from his dad. How cool is that, right? You're going, so that doesn't mean it's haunted. No, it doesn't mean it's haunted. But while we're waiting to get to the 9 o'clock hour, I wanted to show you guys a few of the entries in here, and then we're going to jump into the good, juicy stuff. You guys are not going to believe these stories. I mean, they're great. And here's the funny part, and I'm going to start out by saying this. Every time I pull this book out, stuff starts happening. Hey, thanks, Karen. I just woke up from a nap. I look horrible, but I appreciate that. I'm going to say thank you for that. I look good. You're right. I look good. I'm not going to put myself down. All right. Here's another one. It says, look how pretty again. Look how pretty this writing is. God, it's gorgeous. Isn't that beautiful? This one says, Friend Strever, who should be better friends than fellow pedagogues? Or where can we find a more social fraternity than the Teachers Association? Let us ever have occasion to remember with pleasure the USSA. With best wishes, yours, Ben Radcliffe. Boy, he's sure formal, isn't he? And it says August 28th, 1880, Cherokee, Iowa. So those are some of the entries. Then there's also like some beautiful little poems, that people wrote, and little advice, just like a yearbook, right? Here's one. It says, to Henry, life should have higher, nobler something than mirth and song and something. I mean, like, I can't read it. Anyway, it says Cigarsville, October 26th, 1880. Look at this. I mean, and this book is just falling apart. So I don't know what to do to save it. You can see it's just like done. But there's more to this. There's more, but there's more. Okay, let's get started. We're a few minutes early. Who cares? I've got 183 people they want to see. All right. Again, back to the story. This was given to me by a friend at the last minute when I went to her house. She said, here, you want this? And I said, sure. And I took it. I go home. Okay, I'm looking at it. I'm all, like loving it, totally gushing. Oh, look how pretty. Look how the writing, like I was doing just now. And at the time I was married, and I had a stepson who was about, I think, like 11 or 12 years old. And we're in the living room, and I'm showing him this, and I'm explaining to him how it works and why people did this and the writing. And he was fascinated as much as I was. And I forgot to tell this part of the story last night because I didn't want to get too far into it. So we're sitting in the living room, we're talking about this book, and I'm saying how cool it is and whatever. And I have an Edison that plays those wax cores, if you've ever seen those before. So you have to wind it with, there's a crank. I'll show it to you someday. It's up here somewhere. You have to wind it with a crank. Then you have to hit a lever, and then you have to hit the needle onto the wax core. And this core is sort of on like a column, like a spit, and it starts spinning. And then it'll play, and then it comes through that big flower looking thing, right? You've seen those before. So I have one, and it has not worked. It never works. Okay. I mean, you can kind of get it going, but it doesn't really work. And the needle's bad, and it's just old. And so we were sitting on the couch, but it's hooked up, sort of like put together. And we're talking about this book. And it turns itself on. I'm not kidding you guys. It it literally flipped itself on and started playing the music that was on the core or whatever it was on the machine. So both of us went, the heck? You know, and that was kind of like a weird moment. It never occurred to me it had anything to do with this. Okay. Never occurred to me. So, and I don't know if it did, but I'm going to say it did because it was weird because we were talking about it. So anyway, that night, oh no, this just came off. That night, guys, here's where it starts getting interesting. If I haven't already told you the story, or if you've already heard it, you're going to hear it again. So I wake up in the middle of the night and I see my husband at the time sitting on the edge of the bed. I'm thinking that's strange because he did get woken up a lot in the middle of the night because he was a safety person and sometimes there'd be oil spills or whatever and he had to go in the middle of the night. And that wasn't unusual necessarily, but it was weird for him to just sit on the side of the bed. So he's sitting on the side of the bed and I'm, you know, and I'm half asleep and I look over and I go, what are you doing? You know, and like I can see that he's got this hat on. Now he was a cowboy and he normally wore a baseball cap, but he had a more of a wide brim, like fedora type of a hat on. And I saw that and I thought, he doesn't have a hat like that. And I thought, that's weird. What's he doing? So kind of looking at him, kind of waking up. And then I said, what are you doing? And this apparition, which is what it was, turns around and looks at me and then disappears. And I look and I realize my husband's actually asleep next to me. And he like turns over and grumbles and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay. At that time, again, I wasn't doing what I do here. So it kind of tripped me out a little bit. I won't lie. I was tripped out and I didn't know what it was. Again, never associated with anything, but just, whoa. Now, as I've mentioned to you all, I've had this ability most of my life and I'd seen things in the past, but it had been years since I'd noticed anything like that. So then I hear my dog whimpering in the other room. So I walk out into the living room and there she is staring at the bookshelf and whimpering and crying, sitting like at attention. And I don't know what she's crying about. I like you too, Gregory. I don't know what she's saying. Hi, Crispy. Why she's crying, but she's just staring at the bookshelf. Again, don't know what's going on. So I go back to bed. Next morning, my 10-year-old stepson wakes up, comes out to have breakfast and says to me, thank you, says to me, Mom, you can call me Mom, why did Dad check on me in the middle of the night wearing a hat? And, you know, I didn't want to scare him. So I go, I don't know. I know he was up late or something, you know, like I made up something or whatever. So then everybody leaves for the day, whatever, and I'm cleaning up, straightening up, whatever. And the dog's back in the living room sitting in that same spot. So I go over there and I look and I realize she's staring at this. I had placed it on the bookshelf and she was staring at this. Again, I wasn't as into this stuff at the time. So I went, oh, that's weird. You know, like I kind of like something inside me said maybe something's off, but I just, you know, whatever. Like you guys all do. What about my day? So that's the first part of this story about the autograph book. So I start looking through it as I'm standing here. I'm like, you know, I'm home by myself, whatever. I forgot part of the story. So as he says that to me about his dad, the microwave behind him flashes, beeps, shows the numbers 1111, then turns itself off completely. It's plugged in. How does a microwave do that? So I go over and I look, the plug's fine. I take it out of the plug, I plug it back in, microwave's working. A little weird. Okay. Then I pull the book out and I'm looking through it and guess what? These fall out of the book. Does anybody know what these are? Someone probably does because they probably watched me the other night talking about this. But let me get something so I can show you guys. Hopefully I can show you well. It's hard to do this on the screen. This envelope contains negatives. Now, if you're really young, you may never have seen a negative in your whole life. These negatives are definitely from the 1880s. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see them, but that is Mr. Striever. And that, I believe, is either his mom or his wife. I'm not for sure. I need to get these developed. I know. But look, guys. So I'll share with you these pictures. It looks like they were fairly wealthy. And from what I gather by reading all the messages in here, and I did a census search and I found this guy and everything made sense. He was from Cherokee, Iowa. He was a farmer and he decided to become a teacher and move. So here's another interesting photograph. I mean, what are these costumes or these outfits they're wearing? They're so fabulous, aren't they? Look at this one. I mean, that's a big deal that they even had photographs, but much less a car. I mean, look at that thing. Yeah, I was trying to find a way to show you guys. Here's another one. If you can see the whole family there doing their thing. Isn't that cool? And then this one. But look at, he's wearing a hat in every single picture, right? I hadn't seen him. I didn't know what he looked like. All right, so there was that. So now I was like, that was when it started to kind of trip me out a little bit when I saw these. Because I'm like, that's what he looked like. That's what the hat looked like. Like, I didn't really see his face per se, but definitely looked like that. This is the only other one I have. And I don't know why this particular one is on glass instead of on, like, you know, the film paper. But this is probably the better photograph. I don't know if you can see it very well, but let me see if I can get some. The light ring's kind of messing us up, but you can get an idea. You can see pretty well. I'm going to get them developed. I promise. I'm going to get these developed. So that's what I found inside there. So that was interesting. And it confirmed to me that this hat man probably was Mr. Strieber. That's what I figured. So when Christopher got home, my stepson, I said to him, hey, dude, guess what? You know, there's pictures in here. And I was showing him to him, whatever. And we had the TV on. We were watching something. And the TV turned itself on and off. And we're like, well, that was weird. And then Christopher says to me, remember yesterday, Mom, when the Edison turned itself on? And I go, yeah. And he goes, and remember the microwave doing that? And I go, yeah. He goes, do you think it has to do with that book? This is like a 11-year-old, 10-year-old, whatever. I'm like, aha. You know, again, didn't want to scare the kid. All right. But in my mind, yeah. Fast forward. So as time went on, living in that house for a few more months, this book, there was so much activity in our house. It was crazy. We were having lights flip on and off, microwave beep in the middle of the night. The oven even turned itself on at one point. What else do we have? We had our cell phones were doing weird. I mean, just electronics were being affected. All right. And then I let it go. Went through a divorce, moved, I don't know how many times. This was buried in a box. I forgot about it, let it go, whatever. Okay. Then about probably about 4 years ago, I was with a boyfriend then. We'll call him Bill, just for a name. It's not his name, but we'll call him Bill. I was with this guy named Bill. And Bill and I had an apartment, and all the paranormal stuff in my life started to really come forward. There was a lot of psychic activity. There was a lot of mediumship activity. There was a lot of paranormal activity. And this boyfriend was witnessing a lot of it. It was not a great relationship. I will start with that. But that was one thing that we agreed on, was that I attracted a lot of energies, we'll say. And I had a lot of stories about that time in my life. But when we were talking about it one day, I mentioned this. I said, oh, I forgot to tell you, Bill, about this crazy book I had. And I was telling the whole story. And he goes, oh, that's crazy. That's in our storage unit? I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in the storage unit. So the next week we're in the storage room unit putting some stuff away. And this literally was sitting on top of a box. I hadn't seen it in years. I hadn't pulled it out that I recall, I'll say. But there it was. I said, oh my God, there's that book I was just telling you about. And he goes, oh my God, let's take it home. We took it home, all right. We took it home. That night, everything went crazy. We had the microwave again turning on and off, the television turning on and off, the toaster oven dinged in the middle of the night. We were sitting on the couch and all the cupboards were opening in the kitchen one by one night. Another night, I thought I saw somebody in the back bedroom, and we both walked back there, and all the pictures on one wall were crooked. Like literally every single picture was moved. There was a whole wall of his family and a whole wall of my family. His whole family wall was all crooked and screwed up. Again, don't know for sure if it was related to this, but I felt like it was, because it seemed like that started it. Oh, you like my grandparents' picture? Thank you. So anyway, so we started seeing activity with this book as well. Fine, whatever. Put it away, you know, whatever, moved on, Boyfriend number 3, we'll call him. We'll call him Jack. Okay, so then I'm with Jack in Georgia, and you guys all started seeing me here online. And I said, I told him the same story. I go, hey, you know, this happened, and whatever. And he's like, yeah, you should get it out. So I had it behind me up on my thing, you know, and one of you guys asked me about it. So I said, sure. And I brought it down and I was telling the whole story, right? And I'm telling you guys all this story, and this light ring loses its mind and just blows up. Not this one, another one. I had to throw it out. I literally had to throw it out. Oh, you're in Georgia? Cool. I'd throw it away. It was done. It was new. It wasn't an old one. And I said, oh, Mr. Strieber. And I just said, Mr. Strieber likes electronics. And right after I said, the whole light went like this. And I know, I was like, oh, poop. So I don't know. I mean, you know, tonight could be a night of some type of activity. Another time I brought it down and there were orbs floating around. So I'm gonna say, Mr. Strever, if you're here, feel free to visit us as long as you're, having fun with us, because he's very fun. He's very lighthearted. He's very affable and nice. He's not mean. He doesn't scare me. He doesn't try to hurt me or anything like that. He just likes. He's a teacher. He likes things, inventions. He likes. Yeah, it was full moon last night, wasn't it? The book is Tito. It's called an autograph book. So this is sort of like when people sign a yearbook. When you get out of school, it's kind of like people used to do this back in the 1800s. Yes, the energy is very high around me. You're right. I do get a lot of orbs and things. So I thought tonight it would be interesting, since you guys are all interested in this book, to see if I can use my spirit box to get Mr. Strever to speak with us, possibly. Is that something you guys would like to try? And if not, we'll try some mediumship. What do you think? We did some spirit box the other night. It was okay. And there was some stuff that came through. As a matter of fact, I said the name of somebody who was watching me and I didn't know it. And then later on, she popped in and we actually talked on the phone today. She asked me to mentor her. So that worked out very well. Well, let me get the spirit box, y'all. Now I'll do a demo of the spirit box. I'm going to make sure people understand that this is what we're doing tonight. I always skip TikTok mediums, but felt immediately joined Miss Mine. Here I've been since. Aw, Chris, you're so sweet. Do I have a laptop or tablet? Not today. I don't. Not right now. Why? It's downstairs and I'm not going down there. But why Tito? Tito's one of my favorite people. I love Tito. Tito, do you want to do me a favor today? And I will pull some cards for you privately. Would you mind monitoring for me today? Do you like monitoring? Yes, I know what you're talking about. The Phasma box. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Why? Well, in my case, it's because I'm open to it. I like it and I'm cool with it. What does that say? Thank you. Doug Cater for targeting others for Katrina. Oh, I didn't know what that meant. Okay. Please ask a question related to the aliens. Oh, Gregory. We talked about that a little bit the other day. Oh, you're already mod? I couldn't remember if I'd made you a mod. Okay. Well, I owe you some cards. Okay. Cool. Thank you, darling. I love ya. A spirit box. What does a spirit box? Says Shelly Solis B. Let's talk about it. Now, a lot of people have seen these, and a lot of people have not. A spirit box is basically a transistor radio. And I want to make sure you guys know that we're going to be doing this today. It's a transistor radio, and it's got AM and FM. And what happens is when I turn this on, there's static, and it's going to start just making static sounds, just like a radio that's not really tuned in very well. Okay. And depending on if I pick AM or FM, it doesn't really matter. Some people like to mess around and try different things while they're working with the box. I just usually stick with FM. And then you turn it on. I'm going to play it for you so you can hear what it sounds like. It's kind of a bad sound, and the battery isn't super charged, so no, it's okay. All right, so here's what it sounds like. So you turn it on. Then you do something they call sweep, meaning it'll go back and forth through the stations. When it does that, it allows energies, whether you call them spirits, ghosts, whatever you want, aliens, I don't care, to form words with those sounds of static and make voices. So listen. Okay, I'm hitting the sweep. Now it's sweeping. Is there anybody here? Did you hear that name? I didn't hear what that said. Did you guys hear the name? I heard a man say something like, say Dolan, or I couldn't hear him. Did you guys hear it? But did you hear how it's hard to kind of pick out the voice? But you can't. Sometimes it will absolutely. You didn't hear anything? Okay. I heard it. Okay. Anyways, you'll hear it stop. Was it Paul? Okay. You hear it stop sometimes for like a split second, like you'll hear no static, and then you'll hear a voice come through very clearly. I've got sentences, I've gotten singing, I've got you name it. Now, I don't think this is the best. Yeah, I know, Shelly. I don't think this is the best form of divination. I'm being quite honest with you guys. This is more for people going into paranormal investigations and to get, to ask questions like who's here, how many people are here, and so forth. It takes practice to be able to hear it. That's why I have headphones. There is a method called the Estes method, which means you're going to not look and hear anybody's questions or anything. Did you guys just see it? I thought I just saw an orb. Did anybody else see that? Yeah, the Phasma box erases the static. So yes, there's a way to connect this to a box so that sound is gone and all you hear is the voices. I'm not doing that tonight. Okay. You saw it too? Okay, so I thought I saw something. All right, well, I always go back and watch. If I see it, I pick out a clip and then I post it later. So it does happen, especially when I talk about this book a lot of times too. Okay, so anyways, so that's how it works. Oh, interesting. You saw a big man walk behind me. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, Leslie, you're right. So that's how basically how it works. So, it's not like a super scientific thing or anything, but you could use it for mediumship in a sense. Michelle and I have done lives together where we did examples of the spirit box. And what ends up happening is Michelle sometimes will be listening and I'll be doing automatic drawing, or vice versa. I'll be listening and she'll be saying whatever she's getting. But either way, both of us have had the experience of going into mediumship mode while we're doing this. Like I see and hear things that are not just coming through the box, and I speak them and you guys will hear them. So if it resonates for you while I'm doing this, feel free to put a green heart and say, yeah, that's me, or I know who that is, or what. That's totally fine. But I do generally wear headphones only because the sound is so annoying, you guys. It will drive you crazy. I can do it without the headphones on if you want, but I have a hard time hearing when I do that. So maybe I'll start with the headphones off for a minute or two just so you guys can hear it, and then we'll go into the headphones. And then I can just, okay? So let's do it. Turning it on. I'm going to sweep forward this time, I think. I heard it say, hey, Molly, just now. I just heard Henry. Did you guys hear Henry? That's Henry. This is Henry. I'm turning it up just a tad. I heard the woman. I'm kidding. It's me, it said. Yeah. It's you, Henry? Mr. Straver? And John, it said. I heard a man say, and John. Are you the one who turned on and off my microwave? He said his mother. Did you hear that? Who's in the picture with you in this glass picture? Who is this? What is it? No, it's not broken. He said, is it broken? No, it's not broken. I heard Mary. That is his wife, Mary. Okay. All right. Mr. Straver, is there any other messages you want to give me today about this autograph book or about your life? Anything important? It sounds like somebody's here. Somebody's here. Sorry about that, you guys. I heard there was John here and Mr. Straver. Anybody else? Sorry. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know why somebody just showed up at our house and we're in the middle of nowhere. You heard sure? Okay. So let my dogs chill out for a second. Sorry about that, guys. So now you see how the spirit box works, basically. And so when I put the headphones on, I can just hear it better. That's all. Sorry about the dogs. Bruce scared you? It's Roxy and Bruce. Both you guys, it's okay. All right. I'm up in the attic, you guys. Talk about creepy. All right. I'm going to put the headphones on. We'll do it just a couple more minutes, and then we'll do some more. Okay? We'll do something else fun, exciting. Yeah? Okay. So here we go. I'm going to just put it on. I'm going to turn so you guys can hear that it's on. Okay, now I'm going to sweep. I'm going to try sweeping reverse this time. A different frequency. Who's that? It's me, Molly. I heard it say, who's that? Okay, let me put my headphones on. I'm sorry about that, Tito. Okay, so I'm going to do this now. If it resonates for you or you want to make a comment, just put a green heart up. I said, hey, Debbie. Somebody just said, hey, Debbie. So if you're here, could you please tell me who you are? I heard a voice and I can't hear what he said. Not a one, I just heard. So a man said not a one. Can you tell us more about this book? Is there any other information in this book you want us to know, or about anybody in this book, or is anybody in this book here? I heard someone go, Jorge. I'm bilingual, I heard a woman just say. Really, what language do you speak? This is weird. It got super quiet. I'm going to try doing it a different way. Try going a different direction. I'm sorry, you guys can't see it. Jorge, yeah. And then I heard Brooke. Something about Brooke. Debbie is my mother. Her husband passed a few years ago. It's her birthday this week. Aw, Crispy. So is this Debbie, the mother-in-law of, what's your first name, sweetheart? Yeah, I got Brooke. How are the grandkids? I just heard a woman say, how are the grandkids? I'm not making that up. Her husband, Paul, passed. Oh, I got you. And I said Paul, didn't I, in the beginning? Stephanie, that's right. I know it's you. I'm sorry. I can't remember everybody's names. I know who you are. All right. So anyways, if somebody's here to talk to Debbie or to anybody here. Yeah, she said, how are the, something about the grandkids. I heard something and I couldn't catch it. Are there any messages for anybody that's watching through this device right now? You can go now. Somebody just said, you can go now. I'm not going. I'm right here. All right. I'm not getting a ton, you guys, right now. Let's just shut it down for a minute. All right. My sister's name was Debbie. She passed away in 2019. Can you ask if anyone likes lilies, like the flower? I got a lot of Debbies. Holy mackerel. Okay, so just an example. That's why I don't love the spirit box, because it's so haphazard. You can get one. If you go in my profile, there's a link tree. If you tap on the link tree, I believe it's like tools I use or something like that. There's a whole blog post and there's links to everything. If you use that link and it takes you probably to Amazon and you buy one of those, I get a couple dollars. You know, I appreciate it. It's helpful to me because I don't charge for a lot of stuff. So it's helpful to me if you buy it through me. So it's about $80. I'm being honest. I am having a good night, Courtney. Thank you. So anyway, back to this. Let's talk about it some more. Anybody have questions about the book? Do you want me to read some more passages from the book? There's some really cute little words in here. Some people just sign their name, you know, just your sister or your friend or whatever, you know. But like some of these I can barely read them. I'm trying to see if there was a poem in here at one point I saw that was just so... It says, to change your mind, to learn restraint, to keep your temper cool. Don't pattern after any saints, but teach a country school. 1881. How cute is that? I got the book from a friend of mine. Oh, let me continue to tell you about this. So I got it from a friend of mine from elementary school. I've known her most of my life. And she just gave it to me. Now let me fast forward now to what happened later. I forgot to tell you all this stuff. There's more to this. So her name is Shannon. And Shannon also loves paranormal stuff and also has a lot of ability herself, even though we never really talked about it much as kids. But as we've gotten older, and she knows what I do, we've talked about it. And anyways, she said to me, I think you should start looking at psychometry. Psychometry is when you hold an item, like such as this, and then you give impressions or visions or, whatever mediumship comes to you from holding an item. And so we talked about, working on some things with that. So she sent me a mystery box a few months back. And in the box, and I recorded this, I'm going to actually post it for you guys. I think she won't mind if I post it because who cares, right? And in the mystery box, there were individual boxes wrapped that I didn't know what was in each box. And so what I did is I recorded myself holding each box, talking about what I thought was in the box, what I knew about what I thought was in the box. And then I opened the box. And guys, I blew my own mind. Not only was I extremely accurate as far as what the items were, but later when I sent her the video explaining what I, letting her see what I did, she lost her mind. She was like, brought up every single thing that I brought up and said, yes, I know that's true about that. That I'm not for sure, but I know it belonged to this person. She basically corroborated whatever I said. And she's the kind of person that would tell me, no, that's not you. No, that's not right. She's not a bullshitter. So that kind of blew my mind. But it even gets better because the other thing was then I did some mediumship for her. It's just a mess right now, Nana. And I'm letting it kind of grow out. My natural color, guys, not to get too off subject, is sort of like an ashy blonde with some red in it. But I have red back here and I've had this bleached white up here. As you see, I have breakage. So I'm trying to kind of give it a break. I'm not doing a whole lot color-wise with it. I'm trying to give it a little break. I'm even thinking of cutting a mohawk, you guys. I am. And I'm thinking of doing it on live. I'm thinking of doing like a mohawk. What do you think? Anyway, back to the story. So Shannon says to me, would you mind doing some mediumship for me? And I go, sure. You say no. Okay. And I said, sure. Yeah, I can do that. Whatever. And I didn't really, I haven't talked to her in years. I don't really know her kids. We just mostly go through internet, whatever. So I do this mediumship thing for her, and I was still not totally comfortable with mediumship. I felt kind of like, I don't know if I'm really doing this right, whatever, but I was. And I said to her in the middle of it something about, I don't know why, and I was trying to reach her grandmother. I said, I don't know why I'm seeing your daughter's toes. And I go, and of course, I don't know what your daughter's toes look like. But it's showing me the big toe and the second toe and in between. And I said, I don't know what that is. Right? No clue. I mean, what a weird thing for me to visualize, right? Even though I met her daughter once when she was little. And I said, it's like your daughter's foot. It's the top, between the big toe and the second toe. I said, for some reason, your grandmother's showing me that out of all the things I was saying to her. So later on, she calls me on the phone after she sees the mediumship session, and she says, wow, that was crazy. You hit on so many things there's no way you could have known. And it's absolutely my grandmother. There was stuff you brought up. She goes, but the weirdest one was the one you said about my daughter's feet. And she says, I can't figure it out. And I said, I don't know either. And I said, the only reason I told you is when I get really weird shit like that, there's probably a reason. I said, so I know your grandma was a nurse. Thank you, Tito. You're so cute. I will eventually when I get tired of it. Anyway, we're about to hang up and she goes, oh my God, I know what the thing is with the foot. And I said, please tell me because it's driving me crazy. Brooke, there you are. I said your name a minute ago when I was doing Spirit Box. How funny. Anyway, she tells me this story. So she also has a son. Hey, Brooke, welcome in, honey. And when her son and her daughter were playing in the yard one day in the garden, her son was digging around in the dirt and he was, stabbing the dirt with, like a little shovel, like a little spade, hand shovel. And I guess her daughter was standing there and he did this and he went right between her two toes and literally impaled her foot with the shovel. I didn't know that story at all. I'd never heard about it. I didn't know about it. And she says, I can't believe I didn't realize that when you said that to me. But this is what happens, you guys. Sometimes when I do mediumship, you're going, no, that's not me. No, I don't know what that is. No, that doesn't make sense. I don't know. Sometimes you're just so excited. It's hard to, you got to rack your brain for a minute. But I don't just say stuff to say it, you guys. It just shows up. And usually if it's really weird, it used to be I would edit myself. I go, oh, that's so weird. And then I wouldn't say it out loud because I thought it was weird. Well, I'm now finding out the weirder it is, the more likely it actually applies. And that's how you get what they call evidential mediumship. There's evidence I am speaking to the person I say I'm speaking to. Not just, your grandma loves you, your grandma made cookies. No shit, right? But when I say, your grandma's telling me that she's showing me your daughter's foot between these two toes, right? So I was doing a mentorship call this morning, and one of the things I explained to her was, it's really about trusting yourself. If I can give you one thing, you guys have heard my slogan, know that you know. The less I edit, the less I question myself, the less I back down from what I think, the more right I am as far as doing this type of work. So that's my best advice to any of you. Know that you know. I mean, you got to believe in yourself. There's no other way to do this kind of work. No other way. Otherwise, you're going to walk around thinking you're an imposter all the time. And guess what? At some point, yes, you will come across as an imposter. Hi, cat. Yep. Thank you for that. Meow. I'm thirsty. Okay. Moving on back to paranormal stories. Yeah. So I can tell you some more exciting paranormal stories if you want to hear them. Will Nick Martin reach out, says Kat. No, I do not. If you want a yes-no answer, I say get an 8-ball or flip a coin. Because you're more likely to know than me on that kind of thing. Here's the thing. We all have free will. For me to answer yes or no is kind of irresponsible because obviously I have a 50-50 chance of being right. No, it's okay. Don't apologize. I'm explaining it to you. Here's what I'm going to say to you. The best way to get answers about things like that is to actually have a reading. And I'm not saying it has to be from me. I don't care. But I can give you the information to help you know what to expect. But it is not my job to say yes or no. That would be irresponsible, right, Kat? Because what if I tell you no? Or what if I tell you yes and I'm completely wrong and you follow what I say, this psychic on TikTok? That's not fair. I want to be careful. I used to see and hear things, but not in a while. I think because I've blocked it out for so long, says Mary. Yes, that would be absolutely why. Because I got mixed fro other people. I don't know what that means. Are your eyes two different colors? They are pretty. Yes, they appear that way, don't they? Can you tell a difference in the strengths of spirits that want to come through? You're an empath. Cool. Right on, Kat. Most psychics are, not saying all, but most. Yeah, no. Some spirits will come through real strong. You guys have probably seen me get overwhelmed with emotion before. Or they'll knock things over, or I'll feel them touch me, or I will feel something from them. Yes, there can be times. But most of the time, it's so subtle, you guys. I don't know how else to explain. It's almost like a whispered memory is the best way I can describe it. Yeah. What'd you say? She is an awesome tarot. Aw, thank you, Tito. My sister has eyes like yours. Cool, Nona. Nice. Sometimes it's this eye, sometimes it's this eye. Anywho, you guys want to hear more scary stories? I'll tell you some spooky stories. I can give you some more. And I have people to back me up. So if you ever want to know if these stories are true, most of these stories, I was not by myself. Okay, another good story. So years ago, when this all started to really show up in my life, like it's always been a part of my life. I had a near-death experience when I was 3. So it's been all my life, but I didn't embrace it until the last few years, last 4 or 5 years. Okay. And I'm going to tell you the best story I have. And a lot of you have heard this story. Okay. If you haven't, listen up. Get your slippers on, get your cup of tea, get your Kleenex out. This is what got me into what I do now. Okay, and hopefully I don't blather on too long. I'm going to try to make it as brief as I can. All right, so I started having a lot of stuff happen and a lot of incidences and things. And at the time I was with that so-called boyfriend, we'll call him Bill. All right, and Bill says, you've got to start getting some help with this. You're getting too much input. You don't know what to do with it. Our apartment's crazy. There's stuff flying off the shelves and falling over and blah, blah, blah. And I was having all these crazy experiences. I'd even sometimes walk by somebody and get almost like a movie really quickly of something that happened to them. And that was freaking me out just a little bit. Samantha, whatever, you guys don't answer Samantha. She's spamming. That's not cool. Samantha, you are being reported right now. She is spamming people. Submit, and you are being blocked, and you can just suck a bloody fart. Guys, don't let people do that to you. Don't let people do that to you. If someone comes in here and starts asking you to message them, it's a scam. Block them, report them, please, right away. I will never, ever ask you for a reading, by the way. And you guys have heard me say it 100 times. Guys, stop. Back to the story. So he didn't think I was crazy because he saw it. So he knows I wasn't crazy. He saw what was happening. I thought I was crazy. So one morning I woke up and we're watching the news, and there had been a story on the news about this woman. Yeah, she was, Tito. Don't worry about it. We got her. And it's probably not even a her. Who knows who it is? So I wake up that morning and we turn on the news, and there had been this story about this woman that had gone missing. And it literally was like the day before Christmas Eve. Hey, thanks, Donna. And she said I was interesting. And so I said, oh, how sad. This woman disappeared right around the holidays, like how sad. And my boyfriend says, yeah, that's really crazy, and, and the news does like a loop, right? They keep showing the story over and over again, and it said she was from the local area. This is in Central Coast of California. I know the area very well. I grew up there, and said that she had gone to a friend's house for dinner. She was visiting, and she went to drive back home, and they never saw her again. And so there are all these things on the news, like, can you find her? And, does anybody have a Ring camera or anything? Anybody see her? Blah, 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 blah. So as I'm listening to this news flash, all of a sudden I'm getting a vision. All right. And I'm seeing what she's dealing with, weirdly. And I saw that I was sitting in a car, and hanging from the rearview mirror was like an amulet, like, those Asian jade carvings that have like the red tassel on the bottom. Usually see them in restaurants, like Chinese restaurants and stuff, and they'll hang them from the lamps or whatever. But it was hanging from her rearview mirror, or the rearview mirror, what I was seeing, I'll say. And I was in sort of like a compact car, but I was tilted forward. Like it felt like my seatbelt was holding me in my seat. I was leaning forward, looking down a ravine of a lot of trees. And, it gets crazy, Chrissy. Wait till you hear the whole story. And I have this recorded on my YouTube. If you guys miss any part of the story, just go ahead and go to my YouTube. It's in there. True Paranormal Stories, I believe. So I'm seeing this whole scene, like I'm in the scene, and I realize I'm her at that moment. Like I'm picking up her, and I'm in a panic, and I'm upset, and I'm pissed, and I'm going, why is nobody finding me? I'm hitting the horn. I'm screaming, fuck. I'm like so frustrated. And the reason that I'm afraid to do anything is because I'm apparently perched in some trees. Like I'm not on the ground. I literally am in trees looking down a ravine. I know that doesn't make sense. How could a car be in trees? Okay. So I turned to my boyfriend. He goes, what's going on with you? You have a weird look on your face. And I said, I know where she is. And he goes, shut up. And I said, I know where she is. We got to go get her. And I'm hearing this woman yelling in my mind, you've got to find her. You've got to find her. I'm getting chills just talking. You've got to find her. Like I keep hearing this woman going, you got to find her. But I don't hear her voice, like hear it. Like it's in my mind. And I'm going, crap, I don't even know what to do. So we get all this stuff together. We're getting food and blankets and pylons and all this, because I'm like, I don't know what we're going to show up to see. All right. We're about an hour south of where I believe she is. We get in the car. I got to give this guy credit. He's passed since, unfortunately. He just passed this year. But anyways, I got to give it to Bill. He went along with it. So we get in the car. We drive an hour north of our house to an area that we know. And as we're driving, I start writing all this stuff down. I'm writing down who she is, what she was involved. I said she does Asian studies. She has volunteers for an animal shelter. I'm writing all this stuff down about her. Her nickname is Jilly Beans, and all this shit. And I'm writing as we're driving. Okay. He's driving. Hey, Steph, I'm telling you a scary, paranormal story, true story about me. And so, I say to him, it's on this weird turn, and on the turn, the signal to us to where she is this piece of culver. Those ribbed like metal culvers, it's like a big tube, basically. It's like a piece of one. And it almost looks just like a loop on the side of the road. Like someone sliced a piece of it off and it's just sitting there upright on the side of the road, like a big loop. Hey, you're so cute. And so we're driving around, and I said, I feel like we're getting close. And I'm panicking. I'm completely panicking about this whole thing. And sure enough, we come around this corner. I said, this feels right. We come around the corner, and there's this piece of culvert sitting there. And I go, oh crap, pull over, pull over. You know, and it's a country road, you guys. This is rural. We get out of the car. We're yelling her name. We're looking, we're seeing, we're not seeing anything. We're not hearing anything, but I'm convinced this is the spot. We get back in the car and I pull up a map of the area and I'm looking at it. And there's this big lake that looks like a dragon there. Okay. And they had said that she had gone around the lake, they believe, to go home. And I said, no, she went the other way around the lake, the area that nobody drives, because she's from the area and she knows it and she wanted to see it drive. And I visualized she dropped something on the floor while she was driving and it was late. And when she went to pick it up, she did this and her car launched over the side into a ravine towards the lake. So they wouldn't be able to find tire tracks necessarily because she literally went flying over the side. All right. So I say to him, I feel like it's here. So we start driving around the area, looking everywhere. And I point on the map where I think it is. And it looked like it was right where we were, but due west. And so we go up into the canyon and we're driving around. And every few minutes I say, let's stop here and look, let's stop here and look, let's stop here and look. And we're not finding anything. We get to this one area of this canyon called Adelaide. It's very, very remote. Very narrow road, doesn't get a lot of traffic, this kind of thing. It's in the country, in the mountains of California. And we pull up to this place and I go, stop here. And we get out and there's this huge tree. We get out of the car and there's all these weird things hanging from the tree. Like not just shoes, there's toys, it was weird. It was like a weird dump in that spot. And somebody had thrown a bunch of furniture over the side and a bunch of other stuff over the side. And the vibe was like, it did not like I almost puked. And it scared me. And so we got back in the car. We go back down to that same spot again, the original one I saw. Are you talking to the dogs? I guess so. I can hear somebody talking to them. And again, get out of the car, start walking around, start yelling. We've been doing this for hours, you guys. At this point, I'm tired. It's cold. I have a bad back. I don't want to walk around anymore. And all of a sudden, I start shivering. Like, I cannot stop. The shivers that like your whole body is like this, right? And I'm shivering and I can't breathe. And I guess my boyfriend turns to me and goes, oh my God, you are white as a ghost. And I'm like, I feel like I'm drowning, I said. Now, I drowned when I was 3, so I know what it feels like to drown. And I said, I feel like I'm drowning. Like I was having trouble pulling air in and my nose felt weird. And he goes, oh my God. And just like all of it, like it just felt like everything was rushing in on me. And then it just quiet, nothing. The voice in my head, the feelings I was getting, the shivering, the panic, all that stuff just done. Complete silence. And I'm like, she died. We both start crying. We both got super emotional. I said, it's over. I have a hard time talking about this. I'm going to be honest. I have a hard time talking about this. Give me a second. Ah, yes, dog. All right. Okay, I got it together. So we get in the car and we're driving home. Now, remember, I told you we're an hour from my house. We're driving home, and all of a sudden, we're home. Like literally got in the car, put our seatbelts on, got on the freeway. I'm not done, Steph. This is not the end of the story. It gets better. This is just the peek into the story. You guys are it gets crazy. Crazier. So we realize all of a sudden we're home. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm in shock. I don't know. But then Bill, we'll call him Bill, turns to me and says, do you remember driving home? I said, no. And he says, me neither. Because it feels like we got in the car and then we were just here. Charles. Charles says, I don't know if it's your lighting, but you look high as shit. No offense by that either. You know what? I'm not offended. And yeah, sometimes I am, but not right now. Right, that's why I wasn't on last night, because I had too much last night and I fell asleep. So maybe you're psychic. Anyway, but no, I'm not right now. Not at all. I was almost crying. That's why I look like that. So anyway, back to the story. So we're both kind of tripping out on that whole thing. We're like, what the hell just happened, right? We get home. It might be. We get home. We, are just kind of not saying much of anything. We're kind of bummed. I felt kind of bummed. I didn't know what to say. And I said to him, I go, should I call the police? And he goes, what are you going to tell him? Like, oh, I think I'm psychic and I think I know where somebody, he goes, what are you going to do? And I said, yeah, that's true. What do I do? And that was frustrating. So we're sitting there in the living room. He flips the TV on. The news is on again. And sure enough, they show her again, the same woman. And they said she was just found today at 3, whatever time it was, which was the time right after I lost connection. So from what I understand, I was correct. She went the wrong way home, somehow left the road. I don't know if they ever figured out why. And she ended up down in the ravine. And then I guess when she tried to get out of the car, finally, because she realized nobody was going to find her, there'd been like 3 rainstorms. It was Christmas time. It had been several days. She had soiled herself. It wasn't good. The car went down into the water of the lake, and it was freezing, and she was weak, and that was that. So that I lost it. And that was the defining moment when Bill says to me, you need to get help. You need to figure this out. This is going to kill you. You can't handle this emotionally. You have to go get some help. Apparently, yeah. So, and it's probably because, like I said, I was being urged to find her. Somebody found her. Okay, the police found her. So that's not the end of the story. Okay, so then I thought about going to the funeral. Okay, I really did. Because I thought, well, maybe I can offer some help. And at the time, I didn't realize it's not a TV show, you guys. People don't like you just walking up and going, hey, your mother reached out to me. I mean, people don't appreciate that. They really don't. So I didn't do that, but I did find out that all of the stuff I had written down was correct, because I did research her after that because I wanted to know, was I right? Yes, it was her. But here's what got weird. So I find out that there's this little place near where I live well, I knew this already, where they do a lot of metaphysical stuff, like little old place. Yes, but wait, there's more. Little metaphysical place. Probably about 150 years old, little store. It's been converted 100 different times. But anyways, at that point, it's like a little post office, metaphysical store, little thing. All locals know about it. So they were having a workshop. And one of the guys that taught workshops there, his name is Mike. And Mike is a very advanced medium. And he has a particular spirit that he speaks to, Father, I don't know, Santos or something. I don't know, some Hispanic or Latino priest that apparently channels through him. I don't know. I didn't know anything about that stuff at the time much, And so he's having this workshop at the thing, and it says a channeling workshop. So I'm assuming that what I did was channeling. There's a difference. It's not exactly the same thing. Channeling is when you go into a particular state and then you actually absorb the spirit energy of another spirit or person or entity or whatever. And then you are that entity at the moment. They are using your body as a vessel to speak. So your voice could change. The way you look could change. There could be ectoplasm. There could be all kinds of crazy things happening. I didn't know that. I just thought mediumship. I didn't know the difference. Okay. So I show up to this workshop. There's about 15 people. We're all in a big circle in this tiny little room in this cute little old store. Thank you for all the gifts, you guys. Appreciate it. And I don't know anybody in the room. We don't introduce ourselves. He just, starts explaining what we're doing, blah, 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 blah. And he does an example. He has this little room he set up out of PVC pipe and velvet curtains around it and a chair. And he says, that's the channeling room. So we're going to do a walkthrough exercise. We're going to do a meditation, and then you're going to meet a spirit guide, hopefully. And if you do, then, go ahead and talk to them, introduce yourself, da, 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 da. And then you're going to, if you want to, you're going to go into the channeling booth and you're going to see what comes through. I was like, okay. So he does this walkthrough meditation, which I do for you guys often, very similar. And sure enough, I met several spirit guides, but the main one that came through was a woman named Hansha, right? Who are you going to call Ghostbusters? Exactly. And her name was Hansha. So, and she was this big kind of Germanic woman. And she looked very familiar to me in this vision. And I had remembered seeing her before. And I remembered when I saw her originally was when I was 3 and I drowned in my grandmother's pool. I didn't know who she was still at that point. I just knew the name sounded familiar, but I wasn't sure who it was. So I thought, okay, Hansha, whoever she is. So he does his little example in the booth, and he does Father or whatever his name is, and he talks in this weird accent and does this whole thing. And I'm thinking, okay, that's cool, I guess. Pretty cool. But I'm still kind of not really sure what's going to happen. And he suddenly says, okay, who's going to go in next? And I'm sitting there, and I feel somebody kind of poke my shoulder, but there's nobody behind me. And then he just looks at me and he says, I'm being told that you need to go in there. And he points at me. 15 people in the room. And he points at me. I've never met this guy. I'm like, okay. I don't know what to do. This was a couple days after the incident, all right? So I go into this booth. No sooner do I walk in there and the curtain closes, I start feeling like I'm buzzing. Like my whole body feels buzzy. And I'm going, what the hell is happening here? And so I'm sitting in the chair and I'm feeling buzzy, and I can hear him talking to me through the curtain. I don't remember what he's saying. He's probably trying to get me into the zone or whatever. And I'm just sitting there going, what the hell is happening here? Like, is this going to take off? What? All of a sudden, I start talking, and I'm speaking with a German accent. I'm speaking in German, y'all. I don't speak German. I know about that much German. All right. And I'm saying stuff. And then I heard him say something like, what is your name? And I said, Hancha. And he says, can you speak to us in a language we understand? So I started talking more, I guess. And it's like I was outside myself, like observing this. I don't know how else to explain it to you guys. Like I'm observing myself doing this. Okay. And so that's why I remember so much. So she says, hi, Kate. She says something like, oh, yeah, I'm Hancha, whatever. And she just starts talking to every single person in the room. Now, remember, I'm in a closed, I can't see anybody. But in my mind, I could see everybody in the room sitting there, and I could see the expressions on their faces as I spoke to each of them by name and gave them information about each of them that I could not possibly know. So like I would go, Wendy, last time you made those cookies, you left them in the oven too long. George, your dog is a Pomeranian. Like that's what I was doing. But with this accent. And then I don't remember what else I said. I was like, or she was saying, or what, I was like, bah, 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 going on and on. And I think it went on for a while. It felt like a while. And I was sweating like crazy. And then he says, the guy in charge says, hey, Hancha, we need Molly to come back. So could you please... Oh, no, he didn't say my name. He said, we need her to come back because we didn't know names yet. I don't want to mess the story up. This is true. He says, the person in there needs to come out now. So you're going to have to leave and let her come back. Again, we didn't introduce ourselves at that point. And so I guess she says, no, I have more to say, and keeps talking. Real bossy. And he says, no, it's time for other people to have their opportunity, but thank you for showing up. And, he was very polite. And so then I'm still sitting there, and I heard him say, do you want to come out now? And he says, take as long as you want. And I'm like, I didn't want to come out. I was freaked out. I was sweating. My shirt was just soaked, and it was cold that night. My shirt is wet, and my hair is wet. And I'm sitting there going, what just happened here? I walk out and I realize that I'm covered in this sticky, weird, the only way I can describe it is what I would call, like that sonogram gel. Like it felt like I had this weird gel all over my chest. Like I was like trying to cool off, and I'm like, what the hell is all over me? Right? Ectoplasm? I'm going to guess that's probably what it was. I don't know. That's my guess. I can't say for sure. I didn't have it tested. Okay. That tripped me out. So I go and I sit down, and I'm fully like freaked out. And I'm sitting in the chair. Again, my back is against a wall. There's nobody behind me. It's just a big circle in the room. And everybody's just kind of quiet and staring at me. That's why I said ectoplasm. Everyone's staring at me. And I'm kind of going, oh my God, this is really weird. Now I'm used to it, obviously. But at the time I was like, so then he says, who wants to go next? Of course, nobody wants to go next after what I just did. They're like, what the hell, right? But this little timid woman, very timid, hadn't said a peep all night, goes, I think I'm supposed to go in there. Like that. And Mike goes, sure, yeah, okay, yeah, absolutely, come on in. She goes, I don't know why I'm doing it. You could tell she was freaked out. She's like, I don't know why I'm doing this. So she goes into a little booth, she closes the curtain, and I'm still sitting there just like, I can't believe this just happened. And she starts mumbling, and he's talking to her through the curtain, and, the whole thing. And all of a sudden she says, okay, so this is why I had to back up and tell you that my name had not been said at that point. Nobody had said anybody's name. So we were just sitting in the room. She says, Molly. Oh, this always freaks me out. Look at my arm here. She says, Molly, yeah, only in Cali, right? The lady of the lake says, thank you. I don't know this woman. I never met her. No names were exchanged. She says, Molly, the lady of the lake says, thank you. I lost it. I started crying. I just couldn't believe she said that. That's the only thing she said. Then she comes out. I'm losing my mind. I don't even remember what happened the rest of the night. I know there were other people went in and out. I was just, blown away. End of the thing shows up, and everybody's like kind of milling around and everybody's completely avoiding me, which is funny because the whole thing was a psychic workshop, right? But people are like staying the hell away from me. So I don't know who she was. So I walk over to her, the woman that said that, and I said, thank you for the message. I know I'm Molly. That was for me. And she's like, what? And I said, that message was for me. She goes, oh, okay. And she was like, oh, like this. So anyway, I go home and I'm telling my boyfriend about the whole situation. And he's like, wow, that's cray, wow, like this. And that was kind of when all of this started to ramp up for me, you guys, to the point where I couldn't ignore it anymore. Yeah, there's a, like I said, this whole story is recorded in my YouTube and it's a true story. You'll see, I may have other details in the story because I've told the story so many times, but it's true. And then it was like, after that, it was just like one thing after another started happening and I had to learn to work with my abilities. So that's my personal, most compelling, I think, paranormal story that has ever happened to me. So questions? And if there's something else I remember, I'll tell you, because I know there were other details I probably forgot right now, but those were the main story. It was very emotional for me. I'm surprised I didn't start crying. I usually do. It's sad, but it's cool at the same time. But the frustration is, for some of us, that a lot of us want to help people, but unfortunately, because of the, stigma attached to this, people often either don't take it seriously or they think that you're making things up or that something you shouldn't. So for example, if I were to go to the police and say, I think I know where this person is, then I'm implicated, right? So it's kind of I should carry a hatchet. I have a video about that. The booth story. Oh, I never told you that? Okay. It's a true story. Yeah, true story, y'all. 100 of you listened to my story. I'm so impressed. I'm sorry too, Christy, but it wasn't meant for me. I do carry a hatchet. I have one. You bet. I'm glad you guys liked it. It's a true story though. I mean, I didn't make it up. So thanks for listening to my long story. But I know I tell long stories, but I don't want to leave details out because the details are kind of important sometimes. Now, I have not had any other interaction from that particular person again, the person that passed. Oh, I know what I forgot to tell you. The most important part. The most important part. You just asked me if I ever connected. No. But here's the most important part. So after all this happens, I'm still trying to figure out who Hancha is. Now I'm realizing this Hancha is the person who pushes me all the time. So I texted my mother and I said, Mom, do we know anybody named Hancha? She says, yes, that's your great-great-grandmother. And I said, I thought my on your grandma's side. And I said, I thought my great-great-grandmother was Yetta or Henrietta, right? She says, yes, she went by Yetta, but her nickname was Hancha because Hancha, as in honcho, Hancha in Yiddish is head of the household. She was very bossy. And in Jewish families, especially Jewish traditional families, the woman runs the household. And she was a big, heavy-set woman. And my mom says to me, you've seen her before. There used to be a picture in our living room. Yes, it was her. I realized, remember I said she looked a little familiar to me. Now, I have a video in here somewhere of her, but it gets even weirder, you guys. Now let's fast forward to this last couple years. You guys aren't going to believe this. So I was visiting my mom this November. And she showed me some pictures of Hancha, and we talked about it. I posted pictures of Hancha on here. You guys can see it. But here's the weirdest thing. I have a moderator named Carla. You may have seen her or not. She's a sweetheart. She's a Reiki master. She's fabulous. I love her. She's also a close friend. She's been my moderator on here before. She looks identical. Even she agreed. She and my great-great-grandmother, my spirit guide, look identical. Yeah. I'm not making it up. You guys can look. The pictures are on here. Her name is Carla, Reiki healer, I think. The picture of my grandma is on here. If you scroll down towards November, you'll see a picture. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's trippy. Truth is stranger than fiction, right? All right, guys. We're at the hour mark. I'm tired. It's late. I'm going to bed. It is 10 o'clock. I appreciate you all hanging in with me tonight. Yeah, I know, right? I know that I didn't do any mediumship or anything like that tonight, but next time we will do some, okay? But I thought it was more fun to do something different tonight, do a little story time, especially since this autograph book got you guys so interested. I will go back and review the video. If there are any orbs, I will definitely take them out for you guys to see. I will cut out the clips. Yeah, a doppelganger. And I will upload this to YouTube. It takes a while, but it will be up and you guys can watch this again. If you missed part of this, it will be there. All right, guys. I love you all. Everybody have a great night. Mwah.